Hello everybody, it's Bubba Rob. How's it going? Just pushing my earbuds in. I just finished my walk, my meditative walk, and it started to rain. I was going to hopefully film this out on the park bench, but no can doer. It's not going to work out today. You'll be hearing the raindrops in the background. Raindrops are falling in my head. Anyways, okay. Gotta have a little bit of fun here, right? Can't always be serious. Excuse me for coughing. But anyways, what I want to talk about today under my thumbnail, it's called Feel the Note. And what it is, I think, to be mindful how important music is, especially if you play an instrument. Whether you're good, bad, or ugly, it really makes no difference. Just the fact that you're playing, and it does something to your soul. So anyways, my story for the day. Wednesday, I had to go for my guitar lesson. I started taking guitar lessons with my son. And, it's just after his birthday. And, God, it was hot. We didn't want to go. He goes to me, Papa, he says, we didn't practice since the last lesson. What are we going to do? We're going to play better than we ever have before. That's normally what happens. You practice too much, you lose your shit, and you don't, pardon the expression, but you don't feel what you're doing. Sometimes you're best off just to let things lie, let them soak in, right? So anyway, we go to our guitar lesson, and this is the whole mindfulness part of it. It'll explain itself. So we go to the guitar lesson, and we're just like this, just like, I didn't think I was getting it. So, playing these chords, these jazz chords, and kind of jazzing up Little Wing, and, trying to put some stuff together to go play in public. And, oh my, both our brains were hurting. And then, so I'm soloing. Something weird happened. I went to a different place, and I honestly couldn't hear what anybody else was doing. I was just so into what I was playing. And then Patrick stopped it, the instructor. He says, Rob. What? Oh, what, Patrick? Actually, I didn't really do that, but it's kind of how I felt. It's like, what have you been doing lately? I said, nothing. No, he says, you've been doing something. He says, I can hear it. That's the best tone I've ever heard out of you. He says, what's going on? I don't know. I'm just kind of tired. He goes, what have you been doing lately? Well, I said, one thing I've started doing again is really focus on meditative walking. That's it. So we got into this mindfulness conversation. And Patrick's just a great guy, and he's very astute with, like, he can tell when I'm not there and Taro's not there, like, if you're into it or not, right? And he understands because I've had some health issues, and I'm kind of a little bit forgetful at times. I think because of the stroke, or because there's just a lot of stuff going on, but anyways, we got into this conversation about mindfulness, and you know, it wasn't until we were like driving home and I got home where it really sunk in that I went to a completely different place. It was like a completely different connection with the instrument. Just amazing. Like I find sometimes I can be at home. I can make my own little bass track on the ditto pedal, something kind of John Lee Hooker-ish or something, and I'll just solo for an hour and I don't even realize that I'm playing for an hour non-stop. It's really quite something. I go to a different place and I find like it's so meditative. It's unbelievable. All my problems, things that I was, obsessing over or thinking a bit too much, just disappears. It's really quite amazing. So I guess the moral of the story is, if you're having issues, and I hope whatever I say doesn't trigger somebody. If ever do say something that triggers you on the video, just shut it off. Don't go back to it. Just leave it alone. Okay? Anyways, getting back to the thing. I think it's really important that you at least try and play something or do something where your focus is so intense that it's meditative. Then whatever's bothering you just disappears. You'll live longer. I know it. It's just, I can't get over, how a few things I've incorporated lately, and things like changing my heart rate and my blood pressure. Everything else I was doing the same before I started doing that stuff. Everything's connected. Music's connected. Enjoy some music. Listen to something that takes you to a better place. Maybe try and avoid things that make you angry. You can be reflective, but be careful of messages when you're hearing stuff. I think that's the big difference between like playing an instrument and listening to music is, we can listen to stuff that promotes like a certain type of emotional response. That's not necessarily a good thing. Like if you're having a tough time and there's a song that you remember, or it takes you back to that place where you're trying to forget it, especially do with relationships or somebody who's passed away or somebody who's dying. Don't try and relive it, right? Try and pick up an instrument. If you're depressed, go do something like that. Especially, force yourself. Do whatever you have to do to break that thought. Break that negative thought and whatever's pulling you down. Right? Because ultimately, it's up to you to make the change. Right? There's, that's why I like things like Stoicism, philosophy. It resonates with me more than, say, an organized religion or whatnot. Because I understand that if there is a God and we're all connected, that God has to be within us. And that energy in you will guide you the way through to whatever you have to go through. Simple. You know, when you meditate, I just find I have to try and be kind to myself. And if I start thinking of something that's not good for me, I try and bring myself back. Okay? Anyways, I love you all. I hope you have a great day. I hope this message gets through. Remember, the most important thing in life is to be kind. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to your neighbors. Be kind to strangers. Just be kind, okay? Have a great day. Bye-bye.